Hello and welcome to the Quibber channel. I am Jason, your host. Let's talk about depression. And hello, Bertie. It isn't talked about enough. It really isn't. It isn't understood well. Depression is not a one-size-fits-all, and it can affect every single person differently. And it isn't just a feeling of downness. It isn't just a feeling of being melancholy, and it isn't just a feeling of lack of strength or lack of thingy. It isn't fatigue. It's so many things. It's pain, it's suffering, it's fatigue, it's guilt, it's loneliness, it's isolation, it's self-destruction. You rip yourself apart. And the reason I talk about it so much is because there's so many people out there that deal with it and they think they should just have to shake it off, or that they can just deal with it alone. You can't. We deal with it together. We deal with it as friends. We deal with it with companions. Do not try to face these kind of things alone. Do not feel guilty if you're not having a good day. Let your friends know. Let the people that matter, the real friends. We're not talking acquaintances. We're talking about the people in your life who care. Let them know what you're facing, what you're fighting. It can physically exhaust you. It can mentally destroy you. And it doesn't matter whether you're doing well. It doesn't matter whether you've got a good job. It doesn't matter whether you've got lots of money. It doesn't matter if you've got lots of little things going for you in life. If you just had a child, or you've bought a new house, or you've got a wonderful future ahead of you. Depression can fuck it all up. Can leave you feeling unhappy. Now, I want to describe to you the deepest, darkest depression I ever felt, and what it felt like to me. This came about a couple of years ago when my GERD kicked in, when I started having trouble swallowing. When we didn't know it was GERD, all I knew was my throat was closing up, I couldn't lie down. Acid was going into my throat every time I lay down. I thought it was cancer. I thought it might be thyroid cancer or throat cancer. I thought I was dying. I lost something like 30 kilograms of weight in a couple of months. And I remember the moment it hit me that I was at my worst. Because remember, I've got bipolar. I deal with depression all the time. I am always depressed. I always have depressed with manic spikes and spike into deep. But this was different. This was not the normal depression I was used to. I had no emotions. I was completely blank. My entire world felt like it was grey. There was no colour in my world at all. It felt like everything, every sound in my house felt hollow. Everything I tried to do felt hollow. I was terrified that the next time I lay down, acid would go up my throat and into my lungs and I would die. And add to that, every time I had to go to I was so freaked out by going to I had to go to the hospital, and we had paramedics out to me and everything. And I was, at one point in time, I was so scared. I was scared. I felt like I had something stuck in my throat. And when you've got something stuck in your throat, you sort of try to get it out. You just go, try to get your throat muscles to bring you up. If you've got a little tiny bit of food that gets stuck in your throat and stuff like that, and it just sticks there and won't move, and then it's horrible. I absolutely, completely believed that what was in my throat, what was causing this feeling in my throat, was what was left of my muscles down here. And I couldn't cough. I was terrified of coughing because I thought if I coughed that it would close up and I would choke to death. I had an absolute belief that the next time I coughed, I would die. The only way I was able to get past that was I had paramedics here in the house next door, and they were monitoring me because they understood my fear, because my fear was that the acid had done enough damage that basically it was just basically this part here was just hanging on, and the next time I coughed it could close up completely. And they said basically, yep, we're here, we've got the right equipment here, if it happens we can help you. So that's how I managed to get past that tiny little bit. So imagine, with all the other stuff that I deal with, how deep and dark my depression was going when I went to bed at night. I was so far into an absolute deepest part of depression that I couldn't even think a positive thought. My brain had no way of, I couldn't see anything that was positive. My brain couldn't even think of a joke or a happy thought or anything. They were all gone. Everything was completely gone and walled off. Nothing positive was getting through to my brain. My brain was complete black and white, faded, all the colour gone out. There was no emotions, no positive emotions at all in my head. And that's the worst, very worst. I mean, like I said, I deal with depression all the time because I've got bipolar. I live depression. It's part of who I am. I will always be at a lower ebb. But this was the time in my life when it went, this was even lower than when Paola died. And it's such a powerful, it doesn't matter how smart you are, it doesn't matter how intelligent, how rational, how much you know, depression doesn't give a shit. And it's unique to everyone. It's unique to everyone. And yeah, that caused another type of PTSD to start up with me, which I have to deal with because it never went away completely. But what helped me? So what got me out of it? Well, I remember I was lying down, and as soon as I lay down in bed, I was just keeping my mouth closed so that there was air pressure in my mouth so nothing could come up. And I was breathing very lightly through my mouth, and I was just trying to survive every night. And this was before the big community that I have now. I was part of Munchies, but it was early days. And so I went to Munchies and I did my thing there. That helped a little, and I was doing Beat Saber every day, and I was using some VR meditation stuff, and it was knowledge of finding out exactly what it was, finding out that it wasn't cancer, that it was something that I could deal with, that it was to do with food, reducing my food intake, reducing what I ate, starting along the long path of finding things that... This was way before Huel. This was way before I started taking Huel. This was the trying to just day to day, step by step, survive until I came out of it. But it was not good. It was not good. Anybody who thinks that suicide and end of life thoughts are a cop out has no fucking idea of what a fucked up place your brain can be. Calling what I faced health anxiety and health depression, they're two small words. And everybody who's depressed, you're not weak. Everybody who's depressed, you're not a bother. You're facing something that, thankfully, a lot of people never did to have to face. Because for someone to truly understand what you're going through, they'll have had to have gone through it themselves. And that sucks. I can talk about this stuff because I have all of you. Because I know when I talk about this stuff, I'm helping someone out there to relate, to understand that they're not alone, to know that even though things can be so bad, that there's a chance. Because let me explain something to you. The point of all this. If I had let the darkness win in that situation, then I wouldn't have met all of you. I wouldn't have been singing in VRchat tonight. I wouldn't have spent the last week giggling and laughing with my friends on Discord and meeting all the wonderful people and all the people I'm going to meet in the future through VRchat and Discord and that, if it was not for this, all of this here, if I had let the darkness win, then all of this wouldn't have happened. That's one of the other things about depression. It tells you you have no future. Just give up. Just let go. Just end it all. Because you can't see what could happen tomorrow. I had no idea, as I was trying to climb out of that pit, what my chances were or what was going to on next. But look at me now. And yes, there's a chance one day my cancer will come back. And yes, it's a fight every day against the depression, the issues and challenges I face. But one of the reasons I can cope and deal with it all is because I have all of you, and because every day I help someone, I connect with someone, I make someone else's life a little better. And to me, that's a wonderful legacy. You are all special. And everything we do together, every time, when you watch one of my videos, that's a connection made. You are all splen-fucking-differous. So this is Jason for the Queber channel. I can do this because of you.